All right, we are live. What's going on, fellow traders? Let me get this tweeted out here if I can. There we go. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I hope everybody had a great trading day today. So it was a choppy one, right? So, but there were some moves. There were some pretty exciting moves in the SPX if you were in the right place at the right time. So let's just take a look and kind of go over the state of the market like we like to do. Let me just tune in here and make sure the feed is going through. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So yeah. So what I like to do always is go through the different time frames, like the key time frames, so we can kind of get a broad picture of what's going on, and then we kind of narrow down into the nitty gritty to find like where we're most comfortable trading, right? So some people are comfortable just trading off the monthly chart, right? They get a hammer here and they just kind of hold with a stop here and just kind of let it work and all that stuff. Inside bar here, the downside, I mean these type of things. So back in January we had an inside bar, right? That broke to the upside, gave us a nice, thick green spinning top month, and then after that a hammer month, and then almost a Maribozu month, and now we're kind of coming off of that a little bit, right? So you can see this pink line right here. That's a trend line just from the December lows, Christmas area reversal through January lows, right? And so that just kind of gives you that trend line, and we've been kind of drifting above it a little bit, and then now we're starting to come back and test it, right? So pretty natural type stuff, right? It's just that we get so used to going long, in these big green periods that when we do see pullbacks, it's like, what's going on? So that's just one of those things to keep in mind. So so next we go to the weekly, right? That gives us a little more shorter time frame. We look for swinging stuff maybe for a couple days. And so what we had last week, right, was this hammer bar, right? And so Positive Trends newsletter subscribers, get alerted to this type of behavior in the market, and of course we talk about it here too. So you have the hammer here, and you have this tail fail, right? So the tail of this hammer, when that breaks to the downside, right, like it did here, right, you usually get a little bit of momentum, and that's what we got here. So until we get to the weekly 10 MA, and it bounced off of that. So you can see now it's kind of starting to eye the open gap here, which is very rare on the weekly chart to have an open gap. This is a Maribozu week right here. That means you just jumped, opened, and then closed at the highs, right? So so we have that opening gap there. It's interestingly enough, if we fill that gap, it's about right here at this trend line. So gap gets filled, and then everybody lives happily ever after as it kind of drifts back up to all-time highs again. So that's one possible scenario. So that's our weekly chart right now. So far it's looking pretty weak on the weekly, but right now we can see we've had a couple big moves. And yesterday we talked about this. We said, after that big range day yesterday, had a big red downside move, right? If you look, we opened, here and then pushed all the way down. I mean, the range of this bar was 50 points, right? We hadn't seen that in a long time. So 50-point bar right there. So yesterday I mentioned that today was a possibility that we'd have a consolidation day and possibly close as a doji, and look what we did right there. Doji right at the lower Bollinger Band. So it's also a southern doji, but what this does is it gives us a homing pigeon pattern. So if you go back to the through my videos on the YouTube channel, right, what happens with a homing pigeon pattern is you have a downtrend. So here's like a short-term downtrend, and then you have a red bar followed by another inside red bar, and then once that breaks, so this would be a tail fail here over basically 2900 would be the entry, right? And that could give a push to the upside and then start a new trend up. So we'll see. But of course if we break to the downside, we might start seeing this 50 daily moving average and could even get down to the cloud, which also happens to correspond with the open gap on the weekly. So cloud, and you might get a bounce off of the cloud down there. So that is all possibilities, right? So we just have to stay tactical because volatility is out there, right? So let's just take a look here at volatility. So let's look at the VIX and see how that closed today. Looked pretty interesting last time I checked. Yep. So inside bar, homing pigeon bar on the short pattern on the VIX. So we had two closes over the upper Bollinger Band right here. So yesterday closed over the Bollinger Band, and today closed over the upper Bollinger Band. So usually after that it indicates there's a reversal coming. So but at this point I think the market is still a little bit scared about what's going to go on with the China news. And right now the VIX is up, the VIX futures are up, and the S&P futures and the rest of the futures are down. So so to me, when you close like this, it's kind of like I'm a little bit lower, right? I'm kind of facing down, but it's like I'm not going to get under that Bollinger Band. I'm still a little bit worried, right? So that's kind of what's happening here. So I do like how there's it tagged kind of double resistance up here, right, with two topping tails. So that does imply, that reversal is in store, and if that is the case, if VIX reverses down, then chances are the S&P is going to reverse to the upside. So we could get a pretty big push to the upside, but we'll see. It still has to kind of get out of this formation, right, and start getting below that upper Bollinger Band. So sometimes we'll see it if we go back to. It's fun. Last time it closed was back, during the that Christmas reversal, right? So we closed way above it right here, right? And then we pushed below it the next day. So that was a little bit different than we see here, right? So we had that big push above it, and keep in mind that level was a lot higher too. It was like 35. Here we're only in the 20s. So this is 2 days above it. So chances are, if we have 3 days above it, then Friday is going to be really, really interesting. Obviously, if the trade news is bad, this thing can go way up. But if it's good, this thing's going to reverse like crazy. So that's just something to keep in mind there. Let's take a look at the SPX real quick on the 5-minute chart, so you can see what happened intraday. So if you wanted to, catch some cool moves on the intraday, there was some great opportunities. The first, which was a little bit challenging, so let me actually remove the script here. Edit studies, remove the floor pivot scripts there. And newsletter subscribers also get access to our private Twitter feed, where we go over, where we give all these pivot levels, which are really key for trading intraday if you're day trading. So that is just a benefit of being a newsletter subscriber. So that being said, there was a couple interesting things that happened. So we have here this trend line from yesterday, right? Remember we started up and then, we gapped down, right? But we gapped down and then we, had this kind of downward trend. Look what happened. So we kind of, pushed up in the close yesterday, but if you keep this downward trend line intact, look what happened at the open. It just, came down and tagged that line and then bounced right off of it, right? So it took a little bit. It was a little choppy, kind of went down a little bit, but it went all the way down to the trend line, right? And then went back up, right? So then it kind of came back down, came back to that trend line area and then launched, right? So there's a couple opportunities. So if you were thinking long, right, when it hit this trend line, right, you could have seen this too as a bull flag, right? Here. And usually on the 5-minute chart, about 3 bars would indicate a flag until, if it doesn't reverse after 3 bars, it's not a flag, right? It's going the other way. So anyway, here, so bull flag right here, right? Breaks out of the cloud, breaks out of these key levels, the S1, S2, and the prior day's close. And then we had this bar here. I think there was a tweet that went out, something about, or some sort of trade deal, good stuff. This thing launched 17 points in like 10 minutes all the way up here, right? And what that did is it matched a level from yesterday, okay? So I'm going to we talked about that yesterday and then reversed. So it came back to those same levels here and topping tails off of that, right? So that shows that this is, running into resistance up here and then boom to the downside, right? And then I gave you a 2B reversal here as well, back to the trend line. So here is your low and then your lower low, right? Then it breaks through the piercing bar right here. Here's your entry, right? And then you get a nice little 10-point move or so. What was that? 28.86 all the way to almost 28.94. So about, 8-point move. And so that was a decent move today. Then we chopped for the rest for a little while, and then we came back up, right back to this resistance zone again. Couldn't break through it. Two upper shadows there as it got through that Fibonacci spiral, kind of indication that these Fibonacci spirals kind of tell you there could be a change of trend going on, right? And so what did it do? Topping tail, right? Reversal, and then finally this. And guys, this was also from our discussion this week in this series. This was about a 30-degree line right here, and then it did so that's your bump up here, and this is your run. It broke right through it. So here's your confirmation bar, really big confirmation bar, and then it finally pushed through the cloud and went all the way down here. A couple guys, Option Virus, one of the guys I follow, a couple, guys I know, had puts here, got a nice double out of this, but these ended up being like a 5x trade all over the bottom, right? So it ended up holding the monthly S1 level. So that was just kind of some cool intraday price action right there. So, but overall state of the market, this is where we're at. So you can see we have a couple pivot areas. See this pivot high also will now serve as, could serve as support here. So we did have a pivot, right, in this resistance zone, this gray area, the resistance zone here from the double high before the big push down at the end of 2018. And then this epic return up here is finding some resistance up here, right? And so we pivoted, and now let's see if it holds this as support. If not, then there's that 2836 gap level. If it gets to there, you still might test this, 2800 zone at the pitchfork median line. And then, we could see a pivot back up and then and then kind of work its way up. But I wouldn't be surprised if we did reverse, right? Especially after that epic VIX move, and then kind of came up and tagged this big channel that we've been following here since 2018, right? And then up into this reaction line. Here's Andrew's reaction line here. So here's your action, and here's your reaction line. So a reaction line right there. So could potentially get there. It's about like 3010, 3020. So really, really interesting spot. So it'll be interesting to see what the price action gives us tomorrow and for the rest of the week to see how all those bars close. So that's kind of the state of the market. So at this point, I'm going to talk about today's chart pattern. And today's chart pattern is called the hook reversal. And you can use this, a reversal from the top or a reversal at the bottom. I tend to see it more at tops. So, I don't see a lot of these at the bottom. A lot of times, you see a reversal bar at the bottom is more like a hammer, type situation with some volume. But at the top, they kind of come when they're least expected. That's why you see me tweeting out in the public Twitter, like I'll talk about inside days, because they are significant, right? So when things happen. So let's just kind of zoom in here on the SPX, and I'll show you something really cool. So this was that channel here that went through all of 2018, but it all started with the end of this run up, right, in 2017. So just a clear uptrend, right, for like 2 years, right? A couple corrections, but no big deal. Definitely uptrend, right? Everybody would agree there, no doubt. Okay, so with the hook reversal, what happens is you're in an uptrend, you get an inside bar that closes, that opens near the highs of the prior day and closes near the lows of the prior day. So this is a perfect example right here. So uptrend, right? Higher high, right? Or higher low, boom, higher high, and then what happens? Inside bar, okay? And you guys know how to read the bar charts, right? So the left side is the open and the right side is the close. Okay, and so here we opened just below the highs here, and we closed just above the prior day's lows and open. And so inside bar, and this is a hook reversal. And the reason they call it a hook reversal is you can kind of draw like a little fish hook over it, right? Or a little hook through it. So because you're going up and then down. And so, wow, what a great way to start. When was this? 2018 to start 2018 with a hook reversal pattern that gapped down right after it, and then whoa, huge move to the downside. So that was from that hook reversal pattern. It was 2861 all the way down to like 330 points right from there. So that's incredible. So that is a hook reversal right there. And they're rare. I mean, so when you see it, that's why when we see like these inside days and you can kind of identify it at the top of a trend, you got to give it a try. Right, so that's one thing to look at there, and then we could see we were overbought too, and the RSI and all that good stuff, and so anyway, I ended up going all the way down. So that's why you can see it's really hard to find an inside bar at the bottom of a trend. It's a little bit easier at the top because sometimes it just runs out of steam, right, and it kind of shows things are changing over a little bit, right. So usually at the end of a push to the bottom, you see like these kind of hammer bars or a big, this is a bullish engulfing bar, type situation. So here's a mini. Hook reversal. So we have this big, this decent push to the upside here. Inside bar kind of closed a little bit towards the lows, like red, and then so that would have been, 27.24 all the way down to 26.80. So still a 40-point move off of that is pretty good. And then let's see if we have anything else interesting happening. Not so much. So up to them. But yeah, you can see that if you can catch those, right, you can get some decent moves off of it, even on the intraday time frame. So we could also look at it intraday too. Or I'm sorry, I said on the daily time frame, so yeah, intraday too. You don't see it as much, right? So but you do see a few, and we've talked about inside bars before, but here, kind of a little bit of a downtrend. You had that inside bar here, so just kind of reversal bar. So that was a nice one to the upside there. Here's one. It's not really quite a hook reversal, but you did have an inside bar break to the upside. And that was about all we had today. So, but they are good for catching pivots and some, potential moves and all that stuff. So real quick though, I do want to show you this 5-minute move right here. Even though it didn't break through the trend line yet, you did have this inside Southern Doji, nice pause bar off of this first, to the downside. So pause, and then it really just moves. So nice measured move there, and then this huge continuation as these levels tested that first push right to the upside. This crazy push up here. It said, let me just rediscover some of those price action, make sure everything was going according to plan, right? So anyway, hope you guys found that helpful. That's just a review of another cool chart pattern that you guys can add to your repertoire. So hopefully you guys saw that with that huge down move at the beginning of 2018, and then can even apply these intraday with your price action on your other charts. So let's take one more quick look here at the 15, see if anything's set up there on the 15. So hold on, let's go there. Yeah, not so much. So definitely a little more interesting there on the 5. So a couple cool price action moves and all that. So, but definitely something to keep an eye on. So at this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, feel free to plug those into the chat window, and we'll get through as many as we can. We'll try to wrap up around 10 o'clock. So try to keep the requests to like 3 or 4 at the most, and then we'll get through those, and hopefully everybody get a good night's sleep, and so we can have a great trading day tomorrow. So good stuff. What's going on, everyone? Osama, how's it going? Good to see you. Good evening. Yeah, let's check out. Let's see what we got going on. So you got Netflix. 10-point move, like what was it, like this day right here, just launched. And so we've been tracking this channel here for a while as it's been working its way up this fib, this fib line. So this is still going to be on the bullish watch list tomorrow. Obviously the future's down, it could end up just kind of just flushing down further. But if it can get legs and the market gets strong and it can get back into the channel, then it has a chance of pushing its way back up and trying to fight for the top of the channel while filling this gap right here around 391. So in general, obviously the chart pattern here is looking kind of ugly, but it could just be, see how it undershot here of the channel and then gave a nice push to the upside, undershot again, and a nice push to the upside. So here, undershot of the channel, we want to see a nice push to the upside. So unless it rejects it, right? But for the most part, we're still going to look at it, kind of bullishly on that. So Roku. Looks like we have an inside day today, but we also had earnings tonight, and that seems to be going pretty well for them. So, I'm a fan of Roku. I think their products are really cool. So, we used them way back when they came out, and we didn't have TV and just internet, and we could use the Roku box to watch some stuff. So it was pretty fun. But anyway, so I have an affinity for them. Oh, and their TVs are pretty cool too, because you can stream, Hulu on it and all that, Netflix and everything. Anyway, but so they rocked. Nice push up here. They're over 70. Let's see how that is. This was a swing trade. We swung Roku recently off the daily chart here, and we had a nice gap up and kind of got out of it there, and then it had another push back up over the cloud. So now if it's up at near 70, right, gap was already filled here, so you're up around 70. There could be some short interest here at that gap fill. So if we get, I think it could potentially push into the open, and then what we'll do then at that point is look at the 15 orb on it, right? So just a quick review of the 15 orb. I'm going to go through the lift ticker today. So they had earnings as well. So if we go to the 15-minute chart, the 15 orb is your opening range bar, right? So the reason we like to trade off of the opening range bar is because look at all the volume that happens right at the open. Everybody, is pretty familiar with how crazy the open can be, right? So so we like to calm that down a little bit, and we just kind of classify this first bar as a very important bar. Okay, so you wait 15 minutes, and you have a high and you have a low, and you look to see the price action that happens inside that bar, and then you potentially look for a break of that bar in one direction or the other. Why? Because the bears are defending this level, right? And if the bulls can break through it, it's gonna, it should launch the upside. Same here, the bulls are defending this level, right? There's a lot of battle here. See all this volume? So they're defending this level. They're like, okay, this is where I'm at, right? And then if it breaks through it, bulls are out, get a push to the downside, right? So that's the idea. But, right, we can kind of be preemptive with that and trade price action within the 15-minute orb, right? To eventually trigger a move to break the higher or the low. And so that's what Lyft did today. So it gave you that inside bar right here. We traded this, newsletter subscribers got to see this in the private Twitter on Friday, a nice trade on Amazon, very same technique, except it was a long. And then we took Boeing short yesterday, which was a great trade. So it's just something to keep in mind. But here we have the inside bar, right? And then that broke to the downside. So that break right there, break down, boom. Nice move right there. This bar itself was 2 points. Okay, so 2 points on Lyft. Nice place to take profit. Little bear flag right here, right? Just 2 bars. on the 15, so you're good with that. And then that break to the downside right there. So so nice if you held right on this break. So that was 58 all the way down to 54. So nice 4-point move there. And then if you handle through this chop, it gave you one more push to the downside at the end of the day to 52. So nice basically 6-point move trading off of that orb. So this is what we're going to look at tomorrow with Roku. We're going to see if it can give us a nice 15 orb. If it's really big, we'll look for an inside bar of some sort or some sort of setup like a bear flag right at the orb level. Right there is your orb level. And then look to trade that to the downside. So that's the status with Roku. And then NVIDIA. Great stocks. I love all these the FANG type stocks. Those are just my favorite ones to trade, right? So here we talked about this. We did the bump and run, right? We talked about it. So here's your bump, right up here. So it went from 30 degrees to 60 degrees, kind of curling over, and then just this kind of short to the downside. So another inside day here, right? So technically it could be a well, it didn't really close towards the highs, but I'm looking for eventually a break here, this 168 level, and then a push down, and maybe earnings will like switch things up a little bit. NVIDIA has this strange way of running, a couple days after earnings. So even if it has bad earnings, right, some reason it just always tends to pop after it. Just typically, like even here, I mean, it just was like, it wasn't huge, but at least it moved. So that was that. So good stuff. Uzi, what's going on? We'll watch live later, but can we do? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah. Just check this out. So BA. Diz and Apple. So Boeing, like I said, this was the 15 orb trade yesterday. Boeing was actually green today, which is what it is. It's Boeing, everybody, Wall Street's favorite. Give it a second to load here. I don't know why it's so slow sometimes. Some charts, I don't know. Okay, let's go here. Sometimes I have to click another chart. Give it a second. Come back to life. So yeah, give it 1 second. Maybe I'll skip over to Diz. Oh, wait. What happened? There it is. Okay, here we go. So really interesting here on the daily, right? So grab this volumetric level right here. This was the push. We traded this short yesterday in the private Twitter, right? So it broke the 200-day, just pushed the downside. So today was, like we talked about reversal days, decent recovery, kind of a hammer right over volumetric level. So it does have potential to hold here. If it does, a break of today's highs, could at least test the 200-day at 363 and eventually potentially fill that gap. Let's take a look at the 15 and show what we traded yesterday. Right, so 15, here's your 15 orb, inside bar, break to the downside. Very nice. And let's take a look at the 30 for tomorrow. So we'll, on day 2 after an event, right, so it was, we look at the 30 orb. So we had the big I'm sorry, I meant to show today. So this was the 15 yesterday, so today we look at the 30 because there's no new news about it. So we go to the 30, we go to today, which was the 8th. And then we look. So here we go. Did it. So 30-minute bar, inside bar right here. Break of this to the upside. Couldn't stay below yesterday's lows. Break of this bar here, 355 all the way up to 359. So nice 4-point move off of that. Got another inside bar later, which was inside the 15 orb, which we like. That broke to the upside too, 357, and ended up going all the way up to 361. So nice 4-point move on that. So potential to make about like 6 points on Boeing today, just trading off of the 30-minute orb. So day 2 after some news, we like to go on the 30. So yeah, and then we already looked at the daily chart to see where that's going. So that's that. Let's take a look at Diz. Diz also had earnings, so let's see where we're at with Diz. Okay, Diz was an inside day as well. Look at too, it was also a kind of a hook reversal too, because it was a downtrend, right? Inside bar, and then what do we do? Right? Kind of pause right here. So we'll see. We might get that continuation tomorrow. So we'll look at the 15 orb on Disney tomorrow to see if we can get, maybe an inside bar and a break to the upside, that type of stuff. So this is kind of doing what we talk about in the newsletter, how a lot of these stocks have just been chopping around on, what is otherwise, possibly like a positive report. So looks like they did have a miss though. Apple, good one. So Apple's looking really interesting. We checked this out in the Twitter feed. This is inside day as well. Okay, so inside kind of shooting star. So we'll see it's kind of stayed at the prior day's lows. So I like that it already filled the gap, but push the upside, push over today's highs could work and get us back up to fill in this gap up here. So I don't know. Apple looks like it's kind of just kind of pausing around right now. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. So or it could get nasty. The futures are starting to get a little bit ugly. So anyway, but we'll see on that. So good stuff. Good one, Susie. Then how Trump said screw the market in this deal. No, there you go. There you go. Net Fry, what's going on, bud? Good to see you. Uzi, hope everybody has a great. Good night, Uzi. Man, we'll talk to you tomorrow. I hope you have a great trading day tomorrow. Manoj, what's going on? Good to see you. Clayton, what's up? Choppy day. Yeah, it was a choppy day. just so you know. Manoj, what's up? All right, news is out in some form. Okay, so what do we got? So CNBC, is that the saying that there's like no deal? Oh yeah. Yeah, just normal trade talk rhetoric. So, but man, it's been a fun week with all this. We've been getting a lot of volatility back. So you gotta at least appreciate that, guys. Gives us some action to trade, right? Bruce, what's going on? Glad you made it, man. Hope you're doing well. Okay, so CBLK. Let's take a look. CBLK. Yowza, carbon black ink. What do these guys do? Do they make like carbon fiber for like sports cars? Let me see. Fundamentals. Carbon black is a company providing next generation endpoint securities. Oh, cloud. Okay, yeah, security cloud. Awesome. It's going to 100, Bruce. So what do they have? Like they lost less money like this last quarter. So yeah, this thing's going to 100. Does this thing have options? Oh yeah. So I don't know. There's May 7th. Well, we don't want May 17th, but this thing could do it, man. You can't even get that high. There's no open interest and no volume here. But the 20s here you get for like 30 cents. Right? Just remember, if you do that, you could get caught up. But these things this one could move very, very bullish, very, very bullish looking. So yeah, so good stuff on that one. Nice. Let's see how it looks on the regular bar chart here. Yeah, so it's working. I mean, if we can get over this 18, it could really go. Yeah, and look, it's been up to 35 before, so it's not a stranger to those levels, right? So, yeah, if we can get over this 1875, it could start to work on these pivots eventually. So I do like how it's really starting to break out. Did fill some gaps here, a little gap below, but looking bullish. I like the volume coming in it too. Osama, need your help. BH. In explaining the 15 orb and 30 orb, please, as the YouTube video is not complete. Okay, cool. Yeah, so. Absolutely. So hopefully that made sense what I just talked about. So if we go back to today, if we look at lift, so the 15-minute orb, right, is your opening range bar. Okay, so the reason we call it 15 is because we use the 15-minute chart. All right, so that's your opening range bar right here, and it defines lines in the sand, right, for bulls and right. So bulls want to defend this right here. If it gets below that, they're out. Right? Stopping out, right? So which means it just pushes farther to the downside as shorts try to get that break, right? It just puts a lot of volatility, a lot of focus in it, a lot more volume than normal. So earnings are really good. Upgrades or downgrades on a stock, it's something we look at. So that's why we did Boeing yesterday, and then or some major news on it, something like that. As long as it's pushing the stock and getting some interest in it, and then we do the 30 orb the next day. So the 30 orb is your 30-minute bar. Right? So the day after something. So today, like we said, like with Boeing, we had the 30-minute bar. And why do we switch to the 30-minute bar over the 15? It just is, statistically is a little bit better. I've, done some back testing on it, and I just found that 15-minute bar isn't as reliable on the second day. Sometimes you just need like a little bit more time for, to set some levels. And then there's some interest, but it works great. I mean, one of my best trades last year was on IBM after they bought Red Hat, and it was day 2 on the 30-minute bar, and it was great, right? Gave a nice shooting star, and then it just blew to the downside. It was fantastic. So, but here you can see that 30-minute bar on day 2, right, on Boeing, right? Then inside bar right here, and then that nice break to the upside. Same here, another inside bar within the orb range, right? And then a break to the upside there. So, and here was another one. Here's another inside bar right here, right? That broke to the upside. So, you can just kind of work that, right? So those are the orbs. Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense on that. So. Net fry, which one's better, 15 or 30? I mean, it just depends, right? So it depends which day. So day 1, the 15 is better, and day 2 or day 3, the 30 is better, right? So and that just seems to be the magic level, right? Because if you go down, it's like you get greedy and you're like, well, I'll just use the 5, right? Because I want to catch more of that move. Well, that 5 is why there's an orb there, right? So because that's, now you're starting to get to where all the action is, right? So Boeing yesterday, it was a little bit crazy, right? Yeah, I don't want to be in this. I don't want to be, in this long, lower shadow and the long upper shadow, right? So you can get stopped out a lot easier on the 5-minute bars. It's like everything just seems to calm down after 15 minutes. And so, for day one, now here we go. It's a little bit better. Day one, all that nonsense is out. And then, we get, that move. That was day two, but you get the idea. And day two, there's your bar right there. And you had your inside bars. And then day one, right, was your 15. So that's why. So great question. Jimmy, what's going on? Hey, my pleasure. Thank you for all your support and participation. Yeah, let's take a look at HTZ, AMD, and FB. So HTZ, that was today, wasn't it? Didn't we have done the 15 orb list for today? So let's take a look here. So yeah, okay. So earnings were yesterday, right? So here you go. So this gives you the exact thing. So yesterday we had the earnings, right? Lots of new volume and volatility going into it. So boom, 15 orb. We don't want to be a part of that, right? But we have your levels, and then we had an inside bar right there. So we just trade the breakdown of that bar, right? Which is here. So 1967, and then it went all the way down to 1790, which is nice on a real cheap stock like that. So that was good. And then today we would have looked at the 30-minute orb, right? It's kind of just a little blah, but I don't, HTZ, So 30-minute orb here, inside bar, break to the downside. I mean, could have captured a quick scalp from 1810 to 1790. So 10. I mean, it's just a cheap stock, right? But 1810 then eventually went down to 1785. So that's that. But let's look at the daily. I just wanted to show that example. Yeah. So daily. Look at that. Whew. Big move down, for its regular, right? So it's at the lower end of its cloud. So it could get a push to the downside, Jimmy. So, the 5MA is curling down. It's under the it's under the mid Bollinger Band, and it's pushing out of the cloud there. So this does look still pretty weak. So, so keep that in mind on that. Let's take a look at AMD. AMD. Ugh. So here was your gap, from that last, what was it, news they had, and then chop. Then you had earnings, which were whatever, right? Gap down here, and that's just kind of, I don't know, kind of doing its thing. The Bollinger Bands are pretty compressed here, so that might be one of those TTM squeezes. Let's take a look and see what that looks like. Yeah, so it's squeezing right now. So yeah, so when you see those Bollinger Bands really compressed, right, you start to see the squeeze on here, and then yeah, if this ever releases to the downside, it could really pop to the downside. So just keep that in mind. But yeah, so from compression leads to expansion, right? And so it could go either way, but it is still holding kind of like this key level right here. That was like that gap level, and so we'll just keep an eye on that, see which way that decides it wants to go. And let's see, did it do anything interesting though on the daily? Yeah, just a sort of a crazy day on that one. And then FB. So FB is actually going to be on the long list for tomorrow if the market's strong, and gets a recovery. But excuse me, we talked about the this pennant yesterday. I'm just going to zoom in here. So here we go. I said, we might get a day of compression, right? Inside day. If that breaks to the upside, in fact, let me put an alert there. Create alert. And let's see, so inside day up, pennant. Oh, that will definitely be worth trading. And then if we gap down tomorrow, reclaiming that range if the market gets strong would be pretty good too. Reclaim for pennant break. Just put a couple alerts on that. So I really like this one. This is kind of interesting to me to the long side. You still have this gap down here. So certainly an inside day break to the downside, but if we gap down, it might kind of retest these levels, this, maybe 187. 187 is key. If it gets below 187, I think you're going to fill the gap. But if it gives you a reversal bar or something like that, then you might, we could look to trade it through this range, and then we might get a nice pop through that that pennant. So definitely worth looking at. So Andrew, what's going on? Good to see you, man. Great charts, buddy. Shirley, how are you? Good to see you. Sagar, what's going on? 15 orb and Netflix versus Diz. Yeah, so Netflix, unless there's new... Oh, well, I guess it can be affected by Disney news, certainly. But unless it's gapping on that news, I wouldn't mess with it. I only like to trade orbs on gapping stocks with news. So Disney definitely, it's gonna it's gonna move. So I'll definitely check that out. Netflix, it could, you still could do it. It still could get some action off of that. So yeah, totally. So Robin, what's going on? Thanks for jumping on. Cigars, yeah. So for tomorrow, Netflix should go up. We'll see, right? That's the, I mean, everything should go up, right? But we just have to see how the market decides to be, right? So everything's all dependent on the market, right? So if the market's, just the cues are just, puking, then we just, get out of its way, or just try to find, take advantage of it short. So, it could get a push to the downside, right? It could reject these levels and, and go. But for the most part, it's been working this channel. So if we can get back in this channel, that's where, you're key to go long. So basically, unfortunately, it's a break of the of today's highs, but you could try to do a reclaim of it if it doesn't gap down too much, and then you can get some momentum. Google did that the other day; it was really great. So, so there we are up, and then let's see. Oops, I'm gonna do it there. We'll look for a reversal on that. Okay. So yeah, so if we can get back into the channel, then it should, should be, it could target this gap up here. Of course, there's a gap down here too, so the market's really, really weak. It could go over to that as well. I think there's another one down here too. So we'll see. This channel is really key. If it gets back in it, that's good. That's gonna be bullish for it. So, in my humble opinion. So, Charles, Andrew, what's going on? NG. Ah, natural gas futures. Let's take a look. Nice. So I don't know if La Machine Polonaise is here, but I know he likes these as well. So generally, downtrend. Oh, I don't really need this right here. There. Okay. All right. So let me put a trend line on this. See if we can find anything interesting. There you go. There's a little bit of a break right there, that trend line. So let's see if we can get confirmation over that. Kind of gave you this weird. Well, I guess it's open now, but look for a break here. The high, right? This 261, kind of 261.50, area. If it breaks that, then it could, eventually work its way up to that 290, right? But otherwise, it's got to break that. If not, it might come down, retest the trend line, try to bump. Otherwise, you got your volumetric level right here. If it gets below that, it could continue to push lower. So, yeah, that'd be pretty interesting. So, Jimmy, got to run. Thanks again for your help. You too, man. Really appreciate it, bud. Have a good night. And Merritt. So, so BYND and Amazon and Twilio. So let's see. So BYND. So this is beyond. We talked about this yesterday. Remember, guys? So we looked at this topping tail today, and couldn't quite do it. So this kind of gave us a tweezer top today, right? Where that's where the high is. Tweezer top technically both, it has to match the high. So this would have been 85.45. I think it was 85.43. So you can kind of still go off of that as a potential, right? So, not a perfect tweezer top. But then it kind of just broke right through it. And then you had this, remember we talked about here, as if it broke today's lows, and then it did that. So from there, it was 74.96 all the way down to 70. It's a nice 4-point move off of that. I don't know how these options trade. I haven't really seen yet. Let's see there. I don't really like these spreads, how they are looking. So unfortunately, it doesn't look like that much fun to trade. But I guess the options were open today. So there's some positions put on looks like all over the place. So this should be interesting. So definitely, I think there's a lot of people that think this is a little bit overpriced, right? For a fake meat maker, right? So from 45, almost doubled, right? So it's a little bit corny, but it's fun that finally there was a no pun intended on the corny, but finally there's like some IPOs that are actually moving a little bit, so that's pretty cool. Good. Let's take a look at Amazon. I had my eyes off of Amazon today. I just figured it was chopping around, so let's see what it did. Yeah, so kind of doji day, kind of followed what the market was doing. Inside week so far, which would be interesting. And let's see what the daily looks like. Yeah, so right now it's kind of just testing this kind of this pitchfork. One thing we could look at is a pennant here at the pitchfork. So we kind of have this level right here, and it's kind of doing this thing. We do have an inside day today as well. So so that could be interesting. So I'm going to put an alert there. So if that inside day breaks the upside, we might get some more chop tomorrow, and then Friday all the action. So it looks like this is going to gap down. So we'll take a look there. Interesting. I think, we'll see what the dip buyers do tomorrow. They might try, and then, if it fails, we might see some gaps, filled on a lot of this stuff tomorrow. So yeah, but it looks interesting. It could be bullish if it does break out here. So I do like that pennant. Very, very nice. And then Twilio. Twilio. Still bullish. I mean, let's see if it was. I'm not sure if it's quite inside day today. If it breaks to the upside, it could get back over the the pitchfork and then give a nice boost to the upside. So all these cloud type stocks are pretty good. Good stuff. Shirley, everybody, check out Shirley's, stuff. Shirley, thank you for doing like 5, great levels. Some of your stuff too is amazing and usually, could get really explosive. So we've seen that on some of them. So really good stuff. Where am I? Here. Okay. So let's see what we got going on. UNH, thank you for bringing that up. This is, has been off of my radar. So I don't know what it's been doing since that epic move down. So it's been working itself back up. I don't know what, I saw some tweets today about drug companies disclosing things. I don't know if that's going to hurt. Well, actually, it might help. Insurance companies don't want to pay out as much, but we'll see, if that affects anything. But seems to be reversing, kind of off of this downtrend here. I'm going to actually take this triangle and carry it down a little bit. I'm going to activate that and kind of make it like a trend line here. Okay. So let's see. So it is working at kind of getting out of this downward trend, right? So it needs to break to the upside. So if it can, it gets back in the pitchfork, and then your levels are looking good. LC. Lending Club. Whoa, I couldn't even see it. It was so far down there. This is one of those fun penny stocks, right? So lots of volume today. So that's good. Kind of closed up. Nice Yorikiri bar right over these pivots. So yeah, I think if it breaks, it could get its way up here, 426, 425. Nice break there. Maybe eventually up to that $6 level, which would be pretty cool. So, for Wendy's. Wow, nice move today. That's right. We see that. We had wasn't Papa John's reporting too. So good there. Nice move. Could move to the upside. Let's see how that behaved on the 15-minute bar. So there's your 15 orb right there, right? Eventually gave you this double inside bar, right? Key reversal bar here to the downside, and then engulfing bar, and then it kind of ripped to the upside there. So real tricky trading in that. So I wouldn't trade this one anyway, just because look at the there's really no volume on it, right? So I think the only time I traded this once was like pre-market, and I was the only one to trade it, and that's like I think I moved the market on it, and I got out right in time at the open because it just totally reversed on me. But yeah, so just be careful with this. Sometimes it's it's an interesting one, but yeah, I mean I still had 7 million shares, so yeah, look that for to continue. Nice volume, nice push to the upside, so definitely potential there. And then CFMS. Conformis. Where is it? Oh, it's down there. Okay. Yeah, got some volume. Oh, pardon me. Got some volume coming in, so a little accumulation volume here after earnings. So yeah, I do like this. This is starting to look pretty bullish. Looks like they're loading up on it. So that looks really good, Shirley. Merit Forever stamp. Yeah, STMP. So Andrew brought this up earlier on Twitter. Guys, this thing got slammed last time. It's just been getting slammed after slammed after slammed, right? Because what was the first time? The first time it did was like last time didn't they say it's like, oh, we're not going to be doing business with the post office anymore. Okay. So that was 80. Oh, cut in half again. This thing is just getting decimated there and then all the way down here. So, I mean, yeah, you can check out the 15 orb on this one. This is a thinly traded stock as well. So just be really careful with that. So that's the only thing. Not a lot of volatility, not a lot of volume in it. So let's just look and see what the options are. I think I've tried trading it like one time, but there's like no open interest in this thing, right? There might have been some around, earnings here and all that stuff, but at this point, I don't really like to trade, anything with like single digit, volume. So just be careful with that. But yeah, it's a huge move there. Thank you for bringing that one up. So, Osama, what's going on offline? I can actually see it. So I think I think we're live. So, but thanks for asking. No problem, Nefry, my pleasure. Call Saul, what's up? Oh yeah, yeah. Good day, man. I know, right? So Google, goodness gracious. But one thing Google is doing, and I think you didn't mention this one, but somebody else in the private Twitter mentioned this. So this was that. Did we finish with an inside day? I believe we did. So this is a homing pigeon pattern, right? So I posted the video on Twitter, but the homing pigeon pattern, right, is a reversal of a downtrend, right? So we have this downtrend gap, right? So if you get an inside red bar within a red bar, right, and then eventually break to the upside, which would correspond with a cloud break, and then potentially getting out of here, this one could move, right? So just keep that in mind. It did give a nice inside day homing pigeon reversal pattern, so it has some possibility on that one. So no problem, Merritt, my pleasure. And hey guys, thank you everybody for tuning in and checking this out. I think it was a good discussion, continued discussion on chart patterns. I love that the hook reversal. You saw how that like really showed the turn of the market, and yeah, Turtle Trade. What's Turtle Trader? Shirley, I haven't heard of that. Sounds pretty cool though. I'll look it up. Ah! I totally clicked the wrong button. I hit like print instead of search. I'll look it up real quick here. Turtle Traders. Market Legend, Investopedia. Commodity trader William Eckhart held the turtle experiment to provide that anyone could be taught to trade using his own money and trading novices. And how did the experiment fare? In the early 1980s, Dennis was widely recognized. He took initials at 5,000. He turned 5,000 to $100 million. He and his partner had frequent discussions about their success. Everyone could be taught how to trade futures markets. Well, Eckhart had a special gift. Yeah, I would say he had a special gift. He called his students turtles after recalling turtle farms he had visited in Singapore and decided that he could grow traders as quickly and efficiently as farm-grown turtles. Nice. That's awesome. So good. Yeah, cool stuff. So anyway, guys, I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Have a great night. Remember your risk first and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And Trading Places is based on. Oh, cool. Awesome. Thanks, Shirley. That's awesome. So yeah, good stuff. Well, I hope everybody has a great trading day tomorrow. We're going to post, if you're a newsletter subscriber and part of the private Twitter stream, if I take a trade, I post it there. So lots of fun stuff. Plus you get, really good stuff with the newsletter. So check it out. Links in the description. And guys, have a great night, and I will talk to you guys soon.